is up, everybody? I'm Tiffany. Welcome to the Cinematic Reviewer. Today I'm reviewing Greenland 2 Migration. Now, I had never heard about Greenland. I did see, as I was checking AMC theaters, that they were going to have a new movie, and I was like, well, I didn't watch the first one, so I guess I won't check that one out. But then my dad saw that there was an early screening for the second one, so we decided to watch the first one. So we watched that a couple days ago, and we really liked it. It ended up being very enjoyable. It was a solid disaster movie, and it seemed a little bit more compelling with like the emotional moments, the personal moments, so that was very appreciated. I will say there were like some pacing issues at times. It was a little slow and boring at some points. But for the most part, it was an entertaining movie, it was a soulful movie, so it was very much appreciated in those aspects. Now, yesterday, I did go with my dad to an early screening for the second movie. The next line over was for the early screening of Primate, and if you need to know anything, those creatures freak me out so much. I don't need to watch a horror movie for that. Like, I'm already freaked out by their existence in general. But anyway, we get there, we're seated, we have decent seats. Bro, this movie was so boring. Like, it's a weird choice. Like, the first movie came out in 2020. Why did they make another one? It is so obvious it's not necessary. I just don't get it, why they decided to do it this way. Whatever the case, we were so bored. I saw the guy next to me nodding off. Gerard Butler, he's been in things. I've enjoyed him before, especially Nim's Island. That's a kid's movie that is so enjoyable. And Morena, I know her from the Deadpool movie, so it was kind of cool to see her again. But since we just watched a movie from 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, they were getting up there. They were getting older. I was like, whoa. And they did recast the kid. I recognize him from Jojo Rabbit, and he is also in the Long Walk movie that came out in 2025. Just in general, it just was very slow. Like, they're taking forever to finally leave the bunker. Like, they have this whole thing where it's like, they're at the table, and they're dancing around, and it's like, other than the people who made this, who cares about these people? Who cares about all this dancing around and whatever? I'm just like, what are we even doing here, guys? Also, Morena's character was so annoying. So they have the bunker and there's radiation all over the world because after the comet hit and everything, that's what's happening. There's still a lot of crazy weather effects and all sorts of other things. And so she wants them to rescue these people that are elsewhere. They're like in mine shafts and other sorts of things like that. And it's like, that's a nice idea in theory, but the guy who's saying no, we should be worried about ourselves. There's limited resources, and also we don't know what diseases, what kind of radiation exposure they've experienced. Like, she doesn't even care about that. Just the good old pat yourself on the back sort of thing is more what she's thinking, which I'm like, that is so silly. And of course, everyone raises their hand. Oh yeah, let's save them and everything. It doesn't even work out because then there's a whole tectonic plates, they're shifting and everything, so they don't even make it. So what does it matter? Anyway, the bunker gets destroyed, so they have to go on this little lifeboat thing. We finally get something interesting. Like, technically, we had this cool storm with these lightning strikes and everything. That was kind of neat. But then we finally get one of the spectacles that we saw in the trailer with the wave. And it's like, oh, how cool. Look how epic this is. You see as much of the wave as you do in the trailer. I was so annoyed. So they literally do this. We're seeing the shot of the wave. And you know what they do? They just pan. They just abruptly pan to focus on the lifeboat. They have the tiniest, babiest little wave instead of that massive wave we want to see. I'm just like, okay, you're going to sell us on the spectacle. You're going to show us the spectacle, but not that much of the spectacle. That was really frustrating and annoying for me. For me, I like action adventure. I like the spectacle. I like to see that fun sort of action moment. What's silly is, okay, fine, this is post-apocalyptic, whatever. It might be a little bit of a slower movie, but why are you literally gonna have this stuff, the storm with the lightning strikes and the wave, and not show us. Like, it's barely there. I wouldn't be surprised with this hour 38-minute movie. I wouldn't be surprised if only 10 minutes was spectacle and the rest is just padding run time. It's just some very slow stuff. So I was pretty frustrated. Now, the only time Morena's character, her self-sacrificing way or helping others that sometimes might not be the best idea, the only way that was fine is when she's gonna take this girl, like, they get assistance from this guy and his family, and so they're like, take my daughter to get to this place, because that's like their final destination. They want to go to the comet site, because seeds and everything is gonna be super nice there, like a paradise. And so the father wants to have the daughter go with them. And so Gerard Butler's kind of hesitating. I don't see why he was hesitating. It's not like it's some big deal to just take one more person. But then Morena's character, she says, we'll take her. And it's like, yeah, like that's fine. But the fact that she was just like totally fine to risk everyone else's lives to save maybe 50 people was pretty ridiculous. Because it's like, it just doesn't make sense to go and risk all these lives when probably these people are too sick, and it would strain on the resources that are already limited, because it's supposed to be 5 years later after they've been in this bunker. There's only so much you have. Now, one thing that was annoying to me is, like I'm saying, the spectacle is there just like it is in the trailer, and that's about as long as it goes for. Now, there was this cool thing where it's like these comets or these strikes are happening, so it's like hitting on this forest, because there's a fair amount of stuff that's going on, but it's not interesting. Anyway, so they're in the forest, they're hanging out or whatever as they're gonna go on this journey, and the comets are just flying past and they hold on to the tree. Trees are going whipping all around. Somehow they're just able to hold on. It's kind of like Twister in that way of like, there is no way that little bit of a cable is gonna hold you guys in a tornado. That sort of thing of just way too ridiculous. Anyway, then we see the guy who's driving the van to help them and everything. So then he's running, and he's running with the wind. How is he not getting picked up? How is a tree not ramming into him? It's just very ridiculous. Anyway, he's running to get to his truck. And so Gerard Butler, he's like, don't do that, like, you know, save yourself. And he's like, that's the only thing I have. And it's like, dude, like, there are so many disasters happening, that's really going to be your focus. And so, yeah, he dies, because then the comet hits the truck, hits him, whatever. It kind of part ways, whatever, they keep going. There's a lot of places they go to. So there's Greenland, London, Paris. Like, there's a lot of places they go. Technically, the title is accurate. It is migration. They are migrating, but it's just so boring. It's just not very interesting. Anyway, the thing that irritated me the most, so like I'm saying, I'm detailing these comets. They kind of go over the trees, sometimes on the trees, whatever. There's the lightning strikes, this massive storm. There's the wave. Those are really the spectacles we see in the movie. Okay, fine. Then we're in a war zone. We have to keep going closer and closer to the comet site. And then there's this whole war going. So we have to deal with that. Like, that's taking like 10, 15 minutes at least. And I'll tell you guys something. For me, war stuff, I have no interest in it. I don't like to see it in books, in fiction. That was one of the biggest things with the Mockingjay book. I could not get into it because it was all about war. And I'm like, as if I care. It's just one of those of like, I didn't sign up for more like literally being in a war. And so they're in that trenches thing, whatever that thing is, where it's like, that's where they hide. And you can kind of walk around. You just have to be crouched so you don't get shot. Like, that is just going around for so long. I'm just so irritated. I was just so bored. And so then, I guess this is spoilers. Basically, I'm kind of telling you guys what happens in this movie, but whatever the case. Then throughout the movie, Gerard Butler's been coughing up a lung, but basically because he kept being of assistance and he kept going outside when they were in the bunker and everything, checking about things, getting supplies, that sort of thing. And so that's been pretty damaging to him and everything, the radiation and everything. So he has like maybe 6 to 8 weeks left, but then they have this whole thing when they're so close to finally getting to the comet site, and so then he's gonna like sacrifice himself to save his family. Now technically he doesn't die right then, but he does get shot. It doesn't take that much longer, but it is. They really are padding the runtime, which is ridiculous when it's an hour 38. Like, this is so obvious this story didn't need to be told. So it's taking forever for him to finally like collapse to the ground and oh my gosh, here's the moment when I die, blah, blah, blah. It's just very like, who is caring about this? Like, if this was like a franchise, maybe there would be some justification of like having it go so long, but it's just very silly. Anyway, they get to this paradise area. It was so oversaturated, it was almost comical. Like, nowhere in the world looks like this, but somehow it's, oh, look how beautiful and pretty this all is. Isn't everything great and fantastic? It's like, you guys just showed us a war. What do you mean this land is just gonna be a-okay? Because he literally has this whole speech after he dies where it's like, oh, I won't be there with you, but be kind and compassionate and all this sort of thing. And it's like, that's a nice idea and all, but in this story, in general, we know how people operate. There are monsters out there that are not going to treat this land well and definitely not give access to anyone who gets there. Whatever the case, it just was such a silly little story. It really was a silly story. It was a very boring story. It's very slow. So definitely do not spare your money to go see this one. Definitely spend your money elsewhere. Watch something else. I have no idea if that primate movie is any good. For me, I'm not gonna check it out. Like, I think the actors look fine enough, but like the monkey, the primate, no thank you. And I've got plenty of videos on the docket. I've got to still talk about the Stranger Things finale. There's Song Sung Blue, We Bury the Dead, The Plague. I've definitely got a few movies to still talk about. Wicked for Good, I still gotta talk about that. So there's still plenty of movies that I have to talk about in the queue. These will be coming out very soon, but this is when the review embargo lifted, so I was like, might as well talk about this one. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, comment below. And if you liked this video and would like to see more movie content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Bye!